What's up, folks? It is day 3 of tiny home construction. Today we're going to be putting subfloors on these trailers. You can see in the past videos, we've got all the insulation in. We've got this 3M sill sealer on top of the cross members. I didn't talk about that a lot in the last video, so I'll give you that rundown here. We've got this 3M sill sealer on top of this cross members, and what that does is acts as a thermal break between your subfloor and your trailer. The NOAA certification code does require this. It also requires a vapor barrier if you're using anything other than spray foam or foam board. Now, the spray foam or the foam board, they'll both act as your vapor barrier, so if you're using those, it is not required, but this sill sealer thermal break is required. We used 3M 77, Super 77 spray adhesive to stick this stuff down on the trailers. It's a pretty simple process, just cutting and spraying and sticking. And these things have been out in the sun, they've been out in the moisture, they've been tarped up, but they've gotten rained on. And I will say this stuff has proven to be really good to hold this down. Now, once we get the subfloor on, that won't much matter, but a really great product. What we're going to do here is we're going to run our tongue and groove 23-30 seconds OSB subfloor long ways. We've got 28 feet long by 8 feet wide. We'll have a run of sheets this way, run of sheets on that side. We'll stagger them by a half a sheet. For instance, this side will go full sheet, 3 full sheets, and then a half down at the end. Then we'll start here and do a half a sheet, and then do 3 full sheets down to the end. We're just going to measure off and locate these holes, drill them in our plywood before we lay it down. Then we're going to set our plywood down and fix it to the trailer. The fasteners we're going to use are the Tex wood to metal screws. And what that is a self-tapping screw similar to what we use doing the flashing underneath the trailer, but it's actually got a wood screw style head where it'll go down into the subfloor and sit flush just like a traditional wood screw would do. I think that just about covers everything. This should be a pretty simple day. We'll have, 7 sheets per trailer. 7 sheets is going to cover this trailer. We shouldn't have any drop or anything like that because we are 28 by 8, which works out very well. I think that about covers it. Without further ado, here's your time lapse. All right, so we didn't quite get as lucky as I thought on the layout. The end of this sheet is not centered on a cross member. It actually just meets the edge of a cross member. And where your sheets meet up, they need to both end on the center of the cross member so you can get fasteners in each sheet. What we're gonna do, we're actually gonna have to cut this sheet down, the starting sheet, to fall on that center. And then we will carry on with full sheets and then trim the excess on the back. What that means is instead of exactly 7 sheets per trailer, we're actually looking at 8 sheets of OSB per trailer, and we will have some drop. I thought we would get lucky and be able to go 3.5 and 3.5 and everything fall, but because we need to stay on those centers, we'll just have to eat another sheet of plywood. Not a big deal, and we're just gonna get back to it and knock it out. I'm now remembering a nice little tip that I saw from Joshua over at Tiny House Basics is marking with tape the location of the cross members on the sides of your trailer. Obviously, once we get the subfloor on, we can measure on center. Everything looks pretty good, but throughout the build, it's just going to be nice to be able to look at the edge of that trailer and locate that cross member where it is. We'll mark that on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then we'll get back to that. All right, and one more important reminder, depending on the material you're using, but I would say more materials than not, you are going to want to space your sheets out about 1/8 of an inch. That's going to allow for expansion and contraction and won't get tight and bow up on you like that. So we are going to maintain that spacing between our sheets, and I feel like I've said it 10 times by now, but we're gonna knock this out now. All right, so I ran into another little issue. You can see here, these put together don't make 8 feet across. They actually make 95 inches. If I thought about it, I guess I would have realized that. But you lose a 1/2 inch on either side of your tongue and groove when you stick those together. They're not 4x8 on the surface. They're actually 47.5 by 8 foot on the surface. So when you put them together, you get 95 inches across. Not a big deal. What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna make a 1-inch strip that's got a rabbet in it that will go on that tongue, close that out, and then I'll have a full 8 feet wide. Now what I'll probably do on the second one is center these. That way I've got a 1/2 inch, I'm a 1/2 inch in from the edge of my trailer on both sides. Then when I put my walls up, I can just overhang those a 1/2 inch, you know, basically put the stud wall flush with the edge of the trailer and have it overhanging that subfloor by that 1/2 inch. Not a problem. I did talk this over with the NOAA inspectors. They said either option was gonna work. So I'm probably gonna run both of them. The second option will be easier, but here I've already got these laid down. So the easiest thing to do is gonna be add that strip, and I'm gonna do that. So we will get back to it. And yeah, like I said, this is all pretty new to me. I build custom furniture full time, pretty high-end hardwood furniture. So I've got the hand skills, but as far as the standard construction knowledge, that's what I'm doing a lot of learning. The way I learn things is just to start and learn as I go, as opposed to trying to figure out all this stuff before I start. Now, you know, whatever works best for you. Obviously, that's not the most efficient way to do things. But I am recording everything, and I promise by the end of each video, you will have all the knowledge to do it the right way. I'm gonna tell you what's right, tell you what's wrong that I did wrong, and how we tackle it, like this right here. So I will get back to it, and we will close this sucker out and get started on the next one. All right, we got all these buttoned up, and working on this side strip now is going to give you a better idea of what I was talking about. You can see I've got this one just stuck in place. I don't have any fasteners in yet, but this is what we got. I cut a 1-inch strip here and then cut a rabbet in that is going to hit that tongue there. We'll put them on. Try not to knock my tripod over. All right, so that's gonna bring that flush with the side of our trailer, and I'll put a fastener here and here, just like you would on a seam here. It'll be the same way. That strip really is just taking up space. It's not gonna do anything. When our stud wall comes down on top, it's gonna flatten all that out. We'll have construction adhesive across both surfaces, fasteners in both. We'll be a-okay. And I already explained how I'm gonna do the other one to avoid this step. But there's pros and cons of each. We're getting another inch of space out of it, but it's also a little bit more trouble to do it this way. Pick your poison, I guess. It's as easy as that. I'm gonna stop saying at the beginning of the videos that this should be a simple day. While all this stuff is simple in theory, there's a lot that's got to line up, and a lot that, like that extra strip and things like that, that I haven't considered until I run into it. Like I said, that's just kind of the nature of how I do things, is just start working and figure it out along the way. That's why I'm giving y'all this information, so you don't have to do the same thing that I did. But anyways, we got all the plywood sheets down. This trailer's completely covered. Now we just got to go through and put in all of our fasteners. We're going to do 6-inch spacing around the perimeters, and then 10-inch spacing in the field of the sheets. That's what's required by code to do the NOAA certification. If you want to put them closer together than that, go for it. If you're not going for any kind of certification, do whatever you're comfortable with. But it is a great rule of thumb. It's maybe a little bit overkill, who knows, whoever wrote the code, but you're gonna be good and buttoned down, and you're not gonna have anything warping up and things like that if you do it that way. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and roll in. I'll just show you the cost breakdown of this step, and then we'll see you on the next video, which is gonna be framing. That's when all the really fun stuff starts, and that's when you get to really start seeing how this is different from a stick-built home on a foundation. There's a lot of extra bracing and things like that you've got to do to attach the walls to the trailer, and of course we'll go over all that. But it's hot, folks. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and knock this out. We'll see you next time.